Good evening and welcome to the National News Broadcast brought to you live from the National News Studios here at the Sri Lanka Rupavahini Corporation. I am Dishan Veerakone.
And I'm Kasuni Balachandra. Here are your top stories for tonight.
Domestic gas prices increase. The Indian government extends 500 buses. 5 billion rupees worth of goods in port warehouses. Water level of main tanks in Polonnaruwa increase. The United States downed the Chinese spy balloon.
Now moving on to those and other stories in detail. Today is the Navan Fumul Poya Day, which records several significant incidents in the history of the Buddha Sasana.
Many programs in line with the Poya Day were conducted in Buddhist temples throughout the country today. It was on a Poya Day such as today that Lord Buddha appointed Sariyut Mugalan as his chief disciples. The first Sangha conference was held at the Veluvanarama temple on Navam Poya as cited in the history of the Sasana. The preaching of Ovada Pratimoksha, which resulted in the betterment of the Sangha society, and Lord Buddha's declaration over the end of his existence in the world was made on Navam Full Moon Poya Day. The Dharma Deepani Sadharma Dhamma Sermon series, organized on every full moon Poya Day under the patronage of Prime Minister Dinesh Gunawardena, was held at the temple trees today. The Dhamma Sermon was delivered by Deputy Chief Prelate of Kotte, Sri Kalyani Samagri Dharmas Maha Sangha Sabha, Venerable Professor Kottapitiya Sri Rahulathera. The Sadharma Varsha Navam Poya Day religious program, organized by the Sri Lanka Rupavahini Corporation, was telecast throughout the day from the Homagama Purana Viharaya. Many activities on Attasil, Buddha Puja, Dharma sermons and Dhamma discussions were carried out under the program. The 25th Dhamma Sermon of the Dhamma Sermon series, organized by the Opposition Leader's Office on every Poya Day, was held at the Opposition Leader's Office in Colombo. Professor of Pali and Buddhism at the Sri Javardhanapura University, Venerable Panahaluwe Yasasithera, delivered the Dhamma Sermon. Commonwealth Secretary-General Patricia Scotland says even though Sri Lanka continues to feel the weight of the political and economic pressure, the country will not be alone, as the Commonwealth will always be there for Sri Lanka. She made these remarks while addressing the inaugural lecture for geopolitical cartographies held recently.
The geopolitical cartographer was held on the theme of the role of the Commonwealth in an era of polycrisis. Now, the event was held under the patronage of President Ranil Wickremesinghe.
Pressure can be hard to bear. It can be destabilizing, isolating, frightening. And I am here because I want every Sri Lankan to know that you are not alone. You are part of this special, precious Commonwealth family. As a family, we have a responsibility for one another, a duty to each other, a shared love and a shared journey. And you are not alone in the nature of the challenges you face.
It gives me great pleasure to be present here today with Patricia Scotland, the Secretary General of the Commonwealth, for the inaugural lecture of the Geopolitical Cartographer. The Geopolitical Cartographer is the outcome of a discussion of firstly increasing the number of think tanks and research institutes in the country. Secondly, to focus on international affairs. Thirdly, not merely to cover the whole range of international affairs, but to focus on an area which was of concern to us, where we are located, the Indian Ocean. Its geopolitical aspects, its geoeconomic aspects, its environmental aspects, which fall into either geopolitical or geoeconomic. And the first person to come here and to be invited here is none other than the Secretary General of the Commonwealth. She has been a good friend of Sri Lanka. She has been a good friend of Asia and Africa, and she represents our thinking. But there is also another reason for her to be here, for the Commonwealth to be here. When we got independence, we first joined the Commonwealth. We were admitted to the Commonwealth, and it was only correct that the Secretary General of the Commonwealth should be here on our 75th anniversary of independence. You were there when you got independence, and you all are here now. So it's to mark that occasion that she was invited here by the government to take part in the 75th anniversary of our independence.
Now 500 buses are expected to be received from the Indian government in parallel to the 75th Independence Day celebration.
A token of 50 buses were handed over to President Ranil Wickremesinghe at the Presidential Secretariat premises this morning. The documents of the buses were handed over to the President by Indian High Commissioner to Sri Lanka, Gopal Bagle. The President inspected the buses during the occasion. These buses are provided by the Indian government after agreeing to a request made by Minister Bandula Gunawardena. Its first fleet of 75 buses were handed over to the Sri Lankan government recently. Another fleet of 40 buses have been directed to the registration. 500 buses are to be provided by the Indian government by March to uplift the public transport service in rural areas across the country. President Ranil Wickremesinghe instructed to direct these buses to all SLTB bus depots island-wide to uplift the public transport service in rural areas across the country. State ministers Lasantha Lagiyawanna and Dulum Amunugama were present at this event. Ministers from foreign countries who participated at the 75th Independence Day celebration called on the President yesterday. Ministers representing India, Bhutan, Bangladesh, Pakistan and Nepal met the President at the Presidential Secretariat. India's External Affairs State Minister V. Muralidharan called on the President first. Thereafter, President Ranil Wickremesinghe met Bhutan's Education Minister Jai Birarai. During the discussion between the President and Bangladesh's Foreign Minister Dr. A.K. Abdul Momen, focus was drawn on strengthening ties between the two countries. Later, Pakistan's State Minister of Foreign Affairs Hina Rabhani Khar called on President Ranil Wickremesinghe. Nepal's Minister of Foreign Affairs Dr. Bimala Rai Paudhyal also called on the President and welcomed the initiatives taken by the President in tackling climate change. Foreign Affairs Minister of Maldives Abdullah Shahid also called on the President and engaged in a discussion.
Now, the Litra Gas Company says the domestic gas price has been revised based on the price formula. Accordingly, the company has indicated that the price of a domestic gas cylinder will increase from midnight today. Accordingly, a 12 kg domestic gas cylinder, which was at 4,409 rupees, has been increased by 334 rupees. The new price is at 4,743 rupees. The 5 kg gas cylinder has been increased by 134 rupees and the new price is at 1,904 rupees. The revised price of a 2.3 kg gas cylinder is at 883 rupees after it was increased by 61 rupees. Following the decision to increase the gas price rates by Litra Gas Company, the agents in Hatton Town had closed down their shops yesterday. The consumers have claimed that the outlets were closed with the aim to sell the gas cylinders at the revised prices and gain unnecessary profits with the existing stocks.
The visiting foreign ministers and other dignitaries participated in the 75th Independence Day ceremony called on Foreign Minister Ali Sabri recently. Accordingly, the minister met with ministers Dr. Abdul Momen from Bangladesh, Jai Birarai from Bhutan, V. Muralidharan from India, Takei Shunsuke from Japan, Abdullah Shahid from the Maldives, Dr. Bimala Rai Paudhyal from Nepal and Hina Rabhani Khar from Pakistan. During the individual bilateral meetings, Minister Ali Sabri underscored the warm, cordial and mutually supportive partnerships existing between Sri Lanka and friendly countries in the neighbourhood. He expressed Sri Lanka's keen interest to transform its bilateral ties through a results-oriented and mutually beneficial approach. The visiting ministers and dignitaries also highlighted the importance placed by their countries in deepening their bilateral relations with Sri Lanka as a friend and valued partner. Secretary General of the Commonwealth Patricia Scotland also paid a courtesy call on the foreign minister. Minister Sabri noted that Sri Lanka, as a founder member of the Commonwealth, maintains excellent cooperation with the Commonwealth in multifaceted areas. Both parties exchanged views on further enhancing collaboration between Sri Lanka and the Commonwealth on various fields. Minister Sabri accepted the invitation extended by the Secretary General to attend the Commonwealth Foreign Affairs Ministers meeting in March 2023. Foreign Secretary Aruni Vijayawardena also accompanied the minister with the bilateral meetings at the Foreign Ministry.
Now, the first Sri Lanka Africa Business Forum was held recently at the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. Now, the forum was held under the patronage of Minister Ali Sabri. Now, the meeting was attended by 17 visiting heads of mission from the African region and business leaders from Sri Lanka. Discussions were focused on how Sri Lankan businesses could leverage their comparative advantage to enter the African regional markets. The forum was a follow-up event to the meeting chaired by President Ranil Wickremesinghe with African heads of mission. Minister Sabri opened the forum with remarks that emphasized the importance Sri Lanka places in using economic diplomacy as a tool to harness Sri Lanka's economic engagement with Africa. The minister stated that there is untapped potential to expand Sri Lanka's market share in the African region in key value-added exports and new targeted priority sectors and supply of Sri Lankan skilled labour for gainful employment. The Sri Lanka Africa Business Forum brought forth productive talks on moving forward the agenda for a deepened commercial partnership through the engagement of the Sri Lankan and African overseas communities in their respective countries. The representatives of African countries attending the forum strongly welcome the outreach initiative. The Sri Lanka Africa Business Forum is one of the first engagements the Foreign Ministry has undertaken to coincide with the 75th Independence Day celebrations in keeping with the Sri Lankan government's Look Africa policy. State Minister Tharaka Balsurya also participated in this discussion.
Many political parties have taken steps to organize various public rallies and meetings for the upcoming local government polls. Accordingly, several public rallies were organized yesterday by major political parties in the country. A public rally organised by Samagi Jana Balavegya was held in Panadura yesterday. The rally was held with the participation of party leader Sajid Premadasa. A meeting for the Bulat Singhal electorate in Kalutara district organised by National People's Power was held yesterday. Party members Tilvin Silva and Dr. Nalinda Jai Tissa were present at the occasion. A meeting to brief the candidates contesting for the local government elections in Kurunegala district from Sri Lanka to the Janaperamana was held today.
Now, a scientist of the Sri Lanka Institute of National Technology, Dr. Vimukti Jayavira, has died in a road accident in Horana. Now, residents of the area claimed that an informal trenching carried out by a company has caused the road accident. Dr. Vimukti Jayavira was 37 years of age at his demise. His motor vehicle met with the accident due to a trench in the middle of the road. The police have said that the victim had died from the injuries inflicted on his spinal cord after the vehicle rammed into a concrete post of a road barrier. The victim was a senior research scientist attached to the Sri Lanka Institute of Nanotechnology. A wild elephant had attacked a three-wheeler near the 7th milepost in Mineria along the Colombo-Batiklo main road. Reports have indicated that the three-wheeler has been destroyed completely, but the passengers and the driver had managed to flee from the attack. Wildlife officers have said that 3 wild elephant attacks have been recorded from the same area within the last 2 weeks. A person has died after a cab and a motorcycle collided along the Jaliyagoda Kaspawa bypass in Piliyandala. The deceased motorcyclist has been identified as a 56-year-old businessman. Another person had died from an accident occurred on the Talawa main road in Tamuttegama. Accordingly, a cab had collided with a motorcycle causing the accident. The deceased has been identified as a motorcyclist while the other person has been admitted to the Anuradhapura hospital. A former member of North Central Province Council has travelled in the cab. A 30-year-old youth had been killed when a lorry belonging to the Electricity Board Maintenance Division had collided with a motorcycle. The accident had occurred in the 6th Canal area, Hitogama, along the Anuradhapura-Nachaduwa main road.
Nearly all main tanks in Polonnaruwa district have reached spill level following the heavy showers occurred recently. The irrigation department has taken steps to open 10 sluice gates of the Parakrama Samudra by a foot. Accordingly, the excess water has been released to Ambanganga. The sluice gates were opened at 11:30 last night. Meanwhile, Pimbratava Reservoir in Mahavali B zone is currently overflowing. The 24-feet dam has been built under the Labrick system, and astonishing sceneries can be observed at present. Vavani Irrigation Director's Office has indicated that nearly all small and medium-scale tanks under the department are overflowing due to the heavy showers in Vavani area prevailed recently. 600 acres of cultivations in Kapagolava, Horopatana have been inundated due to prevailing heavy showers. Many damages have caused on cultivations. The Met Department has said that several spells of showers will occur in sea areas off the coast extending from Hambantota to Trincomalee via Portugal. Showers or thunder showers will occur at times in western, central and Sabaragamu provinces and Gaul, Mathura and Kurunegala districts during the evening and night. The sea areas off the coast extending from Chilot to Kankasanture via Mana and from Hambantota to Portugal will be fairly rough at times.
Now, the Iranian Film Festival 2023, to mark the 44th anniversary of the victory of Islamic Revolution of Iran, will begin tomorrow.
The festival is organized by Iran Cultural Center in collaboration with the National Film Corporation. The cinema of Iran has garnered international fame while enjoying a global following. Iran films have won many prestigious international awards, including Cannes, Academy and Berlin Film Festivals. 5 outstanding Iran films are to be showcased at the Tarangani Theatre at National Film Corporation, Colombo 7. The festival will begin tomorrow and continue until the 10th of February from 5 p.m. to 7 p.m. every day. The festival will be launched tomorrow under the patronage of Minister Dr. Bandulu Gunawardena. Entrance is free for general public. Lanka Rupavahini Corporation is the media partner.
My mission, my last mission was in a country that was very different with Sri Lanka, geographically, culturally, and also the weather. But in Sri Lanka, fortunately, we have a lot of similar culture. So that when I or my friend, another Iranian who lived in Sri Lanka or traveling to Sri Lanka, they haven't feel strong. They haven't any feel stronger in Sri Lanka because we have a lot of similar things, cultural also between Iran and Sri Lanka. And the cultural activities is very different and dependent to the situation and the local and the culture. And we haven't any problem to relationship between the Sri Lanka and Iran, also in cultural fields. Ethics in Sri Lanka and in Iran. You know, ethics is the internal. Ethics is internal, that is same law, same role. These are the external of the human. But ethics is internal. Both society, I find that both society is based on the ethics. Emphasis to the family, relationship with the members of the family. It's two countries the same.
And taking a look at more stories here at home, it has been revealed that goods worth close to 5 billion rupees seized by the customs are being stored at the port terminals and warehouses. And this was revealed during a meeting held recently with the participation of Minister Nimal Siripala de Silva. Now, the minister has instructed the relevant authorities to clear out the respective containers within a period of 1 week. A total of 88 containers and goods imported into the country and seized by the customs have been stored at the terminals and the warehouses for many years. Accordingly, the Ports Authority has sustained a financial loss due to the storage of the containers, and an administrative issue has also risen with the inadequate space available in the terminals and warehouses. The Ports Authority has said that the containers consist of arecanut, basmati, tiles, vehicle spare parts, apparels, stationeries, liquor and ethanol.
The world's biggest influencer collective, the EXO team, has arrived in Sri Lanka. They have arrived to promote tourism in the country. The Sri Lanka Tourism Promotion Bureau welcomed the group upon arrival. The EXO team, a collective of talented young content creators known for their choreographed dance performances, has taken the world by storm and is now one of the most popular TikTok teams in the world. The group consists of a TikTok account boasting 36.9 million followers and over 1.2 billion likes, as well as a YouTube account with 8.5 million subscribers and over 8.1 billion views. The Sri Lanka Tourism Promotion Bureau in a statement said that they are eagerly waiting for the EXO team to capture the essence of Sri Lanka through their unique and creative lens and help promote Sri Lanka tourism.
And today is the second day of the Freedom Path Artifacts exhibition organized in view of the 75th National Independence Day celebrations. Now, the exhibition will continue for another 6 days. Artifacts and archived documents which were not exhibited until now were put up for the exhibition. The public can visit the exhibition with the normal entry fee charged to visit the National Museum. School children in uniforms will be allowed to visit the exhibition free of charge. Books on various subjects can be purchased at the event at concessionary rates.
Prima Stella Set Yogurt.
ජයගන්න වැඩි වෙන්න.
சுதந்திரத்தின் வைரவிழா கொண்டாட்டத்தின் உதயம். இலங்கையின் 75வது சுதந்திர தினம் மற்றும் இசுருதான கணக்கின் 25வது ஆண்டு நிறைவை கொண்டாடுவதன் நிமித்தம் பிப்ரவரி 1ஆம் தேதி தொடக்கம் 14ஆம் தேதி வரை பிறக்கும் குழந்தைகள் அனைவருக்கும் மக்கள் வங்கியின் இசுருதான கணக்கினால் 2000 ரூபாய் பெறுமதியான ஒரு பரிசு சான்றிதழ். மக்கள் வங்கியின் இசுருதான குழந்தைக்கு வழங்கக்கூடிய புத்திசாலித்துவமான பரிசு.
And in your foreign news tonight, the US has shot down a giant Chinese balloon that it says has been spying on key military sites across America. The Department of Defense confirmed its fighter jets brought down the balloon over US territorial waters. China's foreign ministry later expressed strong dissatisfaction and protest against the US's use of force to attack civilian unmanned aircraft. The defense officials said an F-22 jet fighter engaged the high-altitude balloon with one missile and it went down about 6 nautical miles off the US coast. They also said the debris landed in 40 meters of water, shallower than they had expected, near Mitre Beach, South Carolina. The military is now trying to recover debris which is spread over 7 miles. 2 naval ships, including one with heavy cranes for recovery, are in the area.
Now, switching focus to Cyprus, where high food and energy costs are forcing people to switch from doing their grocery shopping in malls and supermarkets to the less expensive traditional food markets. Inflation in the southern European island was near double digits and prices of food staples increased by almost 20% in the last year alone. The rising cost of living therefore had been high on the agenda ahead of the presidential elections. Farmers' markets in Cyprus are becoming increasingly popular, with several opening up across the island. Many people who are struggling to make ends meet have come to rely on them. A study by the Cyprus Consumers Association showed more and more people are turning to charities for basic food items as the price increase has been going up on a monthly basis over the past year. Inflation has reduced the purchasing power of the people while drastically changing the consumer behavior. Many choose farmers' markets for cheaper prices, buying direct from the source. But as prices continue to increase, analysts said even farmers' markets would become less affordable, and to tackle the increase in prices, the government has announced price caps on some basic food products in the coming months. For those on fixed incomes or on welfare checks as well as pensioners, that cap would ease the purchasing capability.
The Hungarian Energy Ministry said that Europe may face increase in diesel prices in light of the upcoming ban on Russian oil, commodities that is expected to come into force today. Russia used to account for half of the European Union energy needs. Therefore, a bloc-wide ban will most likely trigger a fuel shortage across the continent. The G7 and Australia recently announced that they have agreed to implement a price cap on Russian fuel shortly after the EU issued a similar announcement. According to a statement issued by the alliance, they have agreed on two ceiling prices, with the first being priced at $100 per barrel for more expensive fuel and the second at $45 on lower quality commodities such as fuel oil. Due to sanctions, Europe now has to buy products from other more distant regions such as importing Indian, Middle Eastern or Chinese products, which can cause supply insecurity, the Hungarian Energy Ministry said.
In the meantime, Pakistan's former President General P. Musharraf, who seized power in a coup in 1999, has died aged 79. The former leader, who was president between 2001 and 2008, died in Dubai after a long illness. A statement from the country's army read. He had survived numerous assassination attempts and found himself on the front line of the struggle between militant Islamists and the West. He supported the US war on terror after 9/11 despite domestic opposition. In 2008, he suffered defeat in the polls and left the country 6 months later. When he returned in 2013 to attempt to contest the election, he was arrested and barred from standing.
The coalition that came in decided to impeach him for his alleged misrule, but returned to Pakistan 6 years later, intending to stand in the forthcoming general election.
Welcome back and taking a look at your sports stories for today. Police and Air Force secure victories in the second round matches of the Inter-Club Rugby League tournament. Now, the league is organized by the Sri Lanka Rugby Federation.
The match between Sri Lanka Police and CHNFC was held at the racecourse grounds. Police won the match by 41 points to 26. The match between Sri Lanka Army and Sri Lanka Air Force was held at the Ratmalana Air Force grounds. Air Force won the match by 27 points to 16. China and France have taken the lead during the first week of the World Junior Tennis Tour Championship currently taking place in Sri Lanka. 120 tennis players are competing in the tournament held under the sponsorship of World Tennis Federation.
Now, an issue has risen over the hosting of the Asia Cup 2023 tournament. Previously, the tournament was scheduled to be held in Pakistan.
A special meeting of the Executive Committee of the Asian Cricket Council was held in Bahrain yesterday. It was decided at the meeting that the tournament will not be held in Pakistan. Reports have indicated that Indian cricket team refusing to participate in the tournament in Pakistan has led to the relevant decision. Accordingly, reports have emphasized the possibility of organizing the tournament either in UAE or Sri Lanka. However, Asian Cricket Council in an announcement has said that the decision over the hosts will be taken at the next Executive Committee meeting in March. Ireland and Scotland secured wins in the Six Nations Rugby Tournament matches played yesterday. The match between Ireland and Wales was played at the Principality Stadium in Britain. Accordingly, Ireland won the match by 34 points to 10. The match between England and Scotland was held at the Twickenham Stadium in Britain. Accordingly, Scotland won the match by 29 points to 23.
Well, that's a wrap of tonight's primetime news bulletin here at the Sri Lanka Rupavahini Corporation. And until we meet again next time, do take care and good night.
Good night.